Hey, what's up? Welcome to Chaotic Explosion, episode 19.
Shit, Dragon just like went right into it. We weren't ready.
Hooray!
Oh
We
my god.
are all on drugs. Yeah. Remember
Yeah,
that?
so we're taking a shot. Are we going or no?
I
Is
can't
this
We're
tell. I
real?
going.
feel like we started three times already.
Episode 19. Let's go.
Wow, you guys have like those enormous drinks.
It's a cocktail,
I'm
but I'm going
cheat.
to down it.
I'm cheating. Mine is coffee because I'm a little
Oh,
sick.
Fifi.
I don't
well,
know how that works out,
the
but
whiskey would burn it out of you.
I'm
yeah.
drinking what I was drinking Friday night
Oh
for the
shit.
first time since Friday night.
Yeah, that did a number on you, didn't it? What is it that you're
Tequila
drinking?
sunrises. Just tequila sunrise. And then there was tequila shots in between the tequila sunrise.
There
All
was a
right,
lot of
man.
shots.
Sounds cool.
So many shots.
I don't know.
Somebody said they lost track of how many shots we did that night. I was like, yeah, I don't
It's
remember either.
That was crazy. I just sat back and you guys
Oh my god.
just went crazy.
it got a little out of hand. I don't remember.
And then Neil was like telling all our secrets.
Really?
Yeah, you told him about the blockchain we're building and all that. No, I'm
Oh
kidding.
my
We're not.
gosh.
I don't remember everything that was said in that space. It's
you
why we
know,
don't record them.
yeah. I definitely won't do the next chaotic exposure Twitter space like that.
No.
Yeah.
Are you
I
sure?
Yeah.
mean,
You
people had fun, but I hated myself the next day.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where you like wake up after hanging out with your friends for Friday night and like, can you look at each other in the eye? And you're not even
Yeah,
totally sure if you can.
it's true. You don't know if you should check your messages because you really don't remember if you sent any or not and what they would consist of.
I did send you a text, Whiskey, and it was completely misspelled and nonsense.
Did you?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I saw it. Well, now I need to check.
LOVS was the wrong word. Shit.
LOVS. Oh, yeah, he said shit.
oh, because love was the
Yeah,
word to for the drinks.
that really was a poor choice in words.
Oh,
I don't know why I picked that one. I don't think I realized we said that much.
we say it a lot.
We do say it a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
That was a tough. I mean, there was at one point I think I said it like 4 times in a row, and I kept forgetting what I was
Dude,
doing.
you said it so many times. People were like, you have to take 2 or 3 shots right now. And we had just taken one like 2 minutes ago. Like my fireball went down so far that night.
I don't like thinking about it too much. I bought a new bottle and it's half gone, so I bought
Oh my
I bought
God.
it was half of a 1.75 basically that I
Dude, I still have
Damn,
my
Neil.
bottle from the beginning of the show.
see. We're not
It's
that bad of an
crazy.
influence.
That's true. That actually makes me feel better.
Um, so it started snowing in California
Yeah, it did.
in the
You guys
valley.
have
It's
gotten a
crazy.
lot.
Yeah, it was a whole bunch. Like
You
it
were
was.
wishing and wishing.
Yeah, I was wishing for it, but not while I'm at work, cause the place doesn't run with snow everywhere. Like just cause of the power outages, it like turns off random pumps, water pumps, in the place, and it's scary. But it was a lot
You
of
got
snow, and
enough
it
to
was
build a
fun.
snowman.
Yeah, I built a snowman in front of my boss's office.
That was in front of your boss's office with the pecker.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
No, but the funny part, I got in on the loader to cause to clear out the road around for the forklift to drive around. I was just bored, and I pushed all the snow in like in front of his door, and I forgot about the snowman, and I smashed it. And that was right before he got to see it, so I had to show him pictures.
you know what's a little bit rude? And we're kind of squirreling all over the place at the moment. Did you notice Twitter the last few days, Dragon? With Whiskey talking to people like Vico on Twitter?
I
She
think so. Yeah.
shared more about herself in the last several days than she shared on this entire podcast.
I try to
No
keep quiet
way.
on this podcast. I have learned that
Yeah.
anything that is said stays with
Wow,
you,
that's
and
rude. I need to
I
look that up.
I don't always think about people seeing my comments on posts,
I was
obviously.
like, how dare you?
Yeah, Vico's one of the best. Like I've known him since I got into Safe Moon like 2 years ago. So he and I have a lot in common. And when he brings stuff up, I'm like, oh, I know about that, or whatever random shit. But then all of a sudden Neil comes in and shares like this gif of somebody taking notes, and I'm like, I don't think about people seeing my comments on posts. I just respond. So now
Well,
I need to not comment on posts.
I need to read through it because I've been slacking on my account. 'Cause I've been on the Chaos account going to spaces, so
Neil's
I haven't
intrigued.
seen everything.
I think he's upset because he's learned more about me through stuff like that than me sharing. But like I said, we all know what's happened to Neil. With the more he shares, the more shit he gets. And I can't afford to have all my dirt out there.
Um, so I found it. Can I read them out loud?
No.
Why?
I think so. That's fair. I think that's fine. There's a couple big ones.
No,
I regret doing this
I
hot
won't.
seat. We haven't even gotten to it yet.
Well, we can read them
Well,
later. We can end the podcast instead of telling Whiskey to send nudes. We can just read through all of her
Yeah,
comments.
don't.
Um, so another fun thing happened last week. Me, Dragon, and Whiskey are now professional coders and can
oh yeah.
help build your metadata anytime. So that's fun.
Um. Mhm.
That's crazy. Who put us in charge?
It wasn't smart because now there's a bunch of Easter eggs.
That was the fun part. I loved that. When he
That
said
was
we
so
could do
fun.
that, I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so one of the benefits of holding DeFi elitism is you can claim at different times digital wearables or even physical wearables. That part hasn't happened yet, though. But the first ever digital wearable claim just happened yesterday evening.
Ooh.
It was so cool. But Chris, 2 days prior, 3 days prior, said, I just really don't think 1,000 of the same thing is good enough. And he said, I'm gonna generate 1,000 pieces that'll be different, and I'm gonna make some different colors. So instead of it being just the same JSON file that you could upload into the metaverse, it is 8 JSON files, depending on which color you have is what color you'll have for the metaverse. But not only that, it generated 1,000 unique individual NFTs. And anyways, they were supposed to go live. What was that? Thursday, and it got live Sunday. But part of that, me, Dragon and Whiskey, and a couple other people were literally copying and pasting the right file code into the metadata for each NFT individually. 1,000 of those suckers. We had to do it twice, and Whiskey almost died.
Oh, I
Yeah.
was worried for a second right there.
You were worried for a second for what?
Cause you cut out,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like
We
looking in the webs, like
well, we
it's.
had like these tornado sirens. So I'm like, I have my windows open and we're all doing this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I think tornado sirens are going off. And all the guys are like, well, maybe you should like go in your basement. I'm like, nah, I think it's okay. So then my phone started going off. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should like see what's going on. So I disconnected just so that I could like concentrate on what I was doing. And I came back and you guys were so sweet because you were like checking to make sure I was okay. But then anytime somebody complained about what we were doing, Chris would be like, Whiskey went through a freaking tornado and did her did her stuff and didn't complain at all. That's so funny. Neil just left. I don't understand why he just gets up and leaves all the time. He gives me shit for doing it, but he does it all the
Yeah,
time.
that's rude. I was waiting for him to yell, "I'm listening."
I know.
But yeah, that was crazy. But I love the watches. They came out amazing.
They do look really good.
And I don't think anyone messed up the coding so far.
We haven't gotten to mine yet, so once we get to my numbers, then I'll be paying more attention. But
I'm jealous you got the yellow one. That's a rare.
yeah, Benji was pissed this morning because we were talking to Chris in voice chat, and he was pissed off because he saw I had a black one and a yellow one.
I just thought Neil's child was a ghost. Like a ghost. Like I had a mini heart attack. I was like, oh no. Like
They came out really good. My child's not a ghost. Chris was being really cute with her this weekend. Like he was. Why is Chris so good at kids? Like he's so good at like. I feel like all of our kids love Chris. How did that happen?
Yeah.
Goodfoot's, Dragons, mine.
Yeah, Goodfoot's kids love love Chris. It was cute to hear them on our space the other night too. When Chris was talking to him, and they're like, you could hear him say, "Is that Chris?" Neil's like, "Did that happen?" Yeah,
Cool.
it happened. It did happen.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, I saw her like in the back over there in the bookshelves, and like your camera on my screen is kind of grainy. I thought it was a ghost. Like I was like,
No,
Neil's
you ain't
dead.
afraid, no ghost. I'm dead. Lights out.
Oh, okay. I want to talk about this because I want to talk about it. People who have heard our podcasts over and over have heard how much shit me and Dragon get for not watching certain shows and movies. And I need the record to show that Neil has not seen Titanic or Mean Girls. So let's just go on that for a little bit.
This is that Twitter meme account that says dudes posting their W's. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Well, this is awesome. It's an awesome Twitter account. Highly recommend it. This is honestly a moment where dudes can post their W's. I went my whole life without watching Titanic or Mean Girls. You're welcome, dudes.
Oh my god.
Worse than
Alex
being like
reaction
a
to
40-year-old virgin.
I told Whiskey we shouldn't talk about it. We should save it for my hot seat. And she said, "No, you'll do plenty more weird stuff before then."
But there'll be plenty more shit that you do that we can talk about. I just want to talk about it because that's a big deal. Like, even Alex in the space was like, "What?" Which his story, by the way, had me rolling. Well, we're not going to go into that, but Mean Girls is one that like shocked me that you've not seen. Titanic, I mildly get. We all know how the story ends. The chick totally could have like saved him and gave him room on that door. I mean, she totally hogged the door. So, I mean, we get it. I understand that. I mean, you miss boobs and a really hot sex scene, but that's on you. Mean Girls is one that you definitely need to at least try to watch.
Why?
With your little nodding.
I don't know about that one. I've seen them multiple times, and I have no idea what happened.
Oh my god.
I'm 34 years old. What am I gonna get out of that experience at this point in my life? What?
Beats me. I don't know.
But I need to see it.
I mean, just to say that you saw it, because that's something that I think.
How long is it?
Continue.
Isn't it super long?
Titanic is super long. It's like what, 2.5 or 3 hours? It's ridiculous.
Have you seen the new part? Like they added more to it. I think it's like double. Like it's 4 hours long now.
That's Lord of the Rings, there, bud.
No, they did that with Titanic. They added like more to it. It's weird.
No.
I
wouldn't
guess
watch it.
I dreamed it.
I wouldn't watch more of it. Once you've seen it once, it's good. But I certainly wouldn't watch it again with more to watch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't watch it to begin with, but that's just me.
Why? What's wrong with watching?
Yeah, it's just not something that seems super interesting to me.
Not with it. Is it just one of those days?
Yeah.
And everything sucks. It was kind of that day for me. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely had one.
You want to talk about it?
Day?
Yeah.
You want to hug?
Can I lay down first?
Yeah.
No, weirdo.
Like a counseling session, like a therapy session.
That's okay. I would not make a good therapist at all.
Hi.
How does Oreo like the snow, Dragon?
He loves it.
See?
We spent all morning outside running around, and
Ugh.
we went. I think Neil saw us sledding down the hill.
Are the girls just having their best time ever?
Yeah, we were sledding. The dog Oreo was sometimes jumped on the sled, went down the hill.
Oh, that's funny.
Dogs and sleds are dangerous. That's how I got face planted into a tree as a kid.
The last time we went down, the last whatever going down the hill, um, I pushed a little bit extra hard on the girls to go down faster.
Yeah.
And they went like so they went farther out, and Everly was up front, and she face plant into a electrical box.
And you laugh. Poor
She
kid.
was okay,
I'm-
but
It's the funniest when your kids fall down or fall into something. Like,
My God.
it has provided entertainment for me for the last 12 years.
Terrible.
It's the
Well,
best.
it's funny,
Whiskey
like-
is the best.
like right when she hit, like I just want to like fall on the ground and laugh, but you gotta like make sure she's okay first.
Yeah.
I always made it worse with my kids when they would fall down because it would be just so funny out the gate and they wouldn't be okay. So they'd be crying. They'd stand up. They'd see me dying. And then they'd cry because their feelings were hurt because I was laughing at them for being hurt. So it was just this kind of like emotional roller coaster at my house. I'm definitely a good
Terrible with
parent.
that. No,
you
it doesn't
should-
matter who it is. If somebody's hurt, I laugh and then ask if they're okay. It's really bad. I'm
Every
really
time.
not that person that like helps and yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, we have a fun day today, though. I have been thinking a lot about this episode,
Gary?
just because of like how hard the person works and how much intention and effort they put in to delivering on what they said they would do. Number one, to being a support to the people that they believe in. To making sure that everyone is getting all the information they need and all the experience they need to have, everything. I mean, this person thinks through so much at such a high level for whatever team that she's on. And of course, it's
Who are
Whiskey. We've already
about?
put that out. I'm talking about you.
Oh. Oh.
Like, you've just put in so much work. And I know that you like talk about how, me and Dragon match your effort and how Chris is easy to support and how much, you believe in Alex and Tom, and all that's true. And I'm not questioning any of that, but it's not about any of that today. It's about you a little. And like, you just have worked so incredibly hard. And I think you're a cut above the fray, in my opinion. And so I'm excited to just get to talk to you for a little while and have the focus be on you because it's something you've kind of evaded pretty well. And so I'm excited
Well,
to be
you're
able to
not
just
starting off very well. I feel like that awkward turtle gift that you share that you just want to hide because you put me on this pedestal and that I just need to crawl down from.
I mean, it's not a pedestal though. Like the reality is you're a real one in the space and like you've put in more work than I would venture to guess 95% or more of the people in this space in your effort. And that's not a knock. That's not even a criticism on them. You've just done incredibly well and worked very hard and have made a big impact. I mean, the Misfits project isn't even the same because of you. It's something new and different. And this podcast exists because of you. And Chris Vaughn's entire presence has been affected in a positive way because of your effort. And so, like, it's not a pedestal. It's just recognition for what you've accomplished. And so, like, it's not like you're on this high pedestal that you can't mess up on. It's just, no, this is what you've already, these are just your accomplishments. These are your accolades. This is who you are. And so, like, I'm excited to jump in and dive in. I have a lot of questions. The community had a lot of questions, which should tell you everything. I mean, I think out of all of our guests, you have the most questions that were asked by the community.
That's scary.
I could be wrong, but you definitely are a contender for the most. And that's because people know who you are. They're excited to hear about you, and you're amazing. I don't know. That's just my take on this podcast and this episode.
Ditto.
What is happening?
I don't know what's
I
going
just
on.
there's just
Getting
a moment in my
distracted.
house. Um, Dragon prepared by asking an AI bot what questions to ask, which is just so good.
I love that so much. When he shared that and said these are my questions, I was like, oh my god.
Most dragon move I've ever seen in my life. It was
Yeah.
so good.
I can't believe I didn't think of that like earlier.
We're gonna start doing that with all our guests now. We're
Yeah,
just not
Yeah.
that's
even
gonna
gonna
be
put in
my
the work. We're
question.
just gonna have the bots do it now.
Yeah, those AIs are amazing.
So, nice, easy question to lob your way, just to get the ball rolling.
Uh-oh.
Tell us about who you are in the space, how long you've been in the space. Before any of
Who
us
is
knew you,
whiskey?
who is Whiskey?
Um, that's actually not. Yeah, it's not a hard question. I'm exactly who I am in real life as I am on Twitter and Discord, and I'm this sarcastic. Don't think before I speak. My mouth gets me in trouble. Um, I keep a pretty tall wall. I trust and respect are hard for me to give out, so I keep people that kind of earned it close. Um, I don't know. I don't know how to answer. I remember Dragon having that hard time answering that question. And I'm like, it's not hard. It's who you are. But then when you have to answer it, you're like, I don't know. I am who I am. Like
I
I'm,
understand.
I'm exactly who I am in real life. I just kind of a hot mess.
No, not everybody knows that though. Knows who you are or knows any of the context. So for the sake of those, you just kind of gave a summary description. But what else would you say?
I don't know. This is a lot harder than you think it's gonna be because you're used to like interviewing other people, and then when it's on you, Dragon's like cracking up. Um, okay. So I will give like a rundown of me. I grew up with boys. I do better with boys than I do with girls when it comes to who I fit in better with, and I think that's probably helped me out with the Misfits community because it is predominantly guys. Um,
Mhm.
I to kind of like dive into like getting into this space and how I got here and all that stuff. I don't know. That's kind of deeper. I don't know if we want to get into all that. um,
I guess I'll ask my first question. What do you like to do in your free time?
what is free time? I don't know what that's like. Um, yeah,
That's true. How many jobs do you have? Like five?
my
Five,
God.
six?
Um, yeah. Well, I did. So, okay, so we can this is how it worked with Dragon. You like trigger something and you're like, "Oh, okay, we can go there." So, when I got out of high school, I got into management right away. That was what I got into. And then I got into photography. That led me into some modeling, which we're not going to go there and I regret doing it because I do better behind the camera than in front of the camera. Um don't look at me like that, Neil. Uh
I mean, you can't bring it up and just say we're not going to talk about that.
No, it was just connections that I made when I was working the jobs that I had at the time, and then, like I said, I didn't like being in front of the camera, so I started working behind the camera. That led me into some galleries, and I still was in some management at the time, so I just tried. I did all these different things at once, but then I kind of got tired of working for other people. It seemed like everyone that I was working with just didn't have the same mindset. We didn't think the same or have the same goals, and it just became like this circle of not enjoying, who you're working with. Um, so when I got into my early 20s, I started a company, me and my business partner. That took off way bigger than I thought it would. Once we got to be a six-figure company, I had people coming to me asking for marketing, and because I didn't pay a dime for marketing for my company, I love that hard work and satisfaction of doing everything on your own. I knew I wanted to keep a small team, which is something that I appreciate about Alex and Tom, is just that small team that you just pull from each other's strengths. You keep it organized, you keep it tight. Um, So when I kind of got into this space, I had my company and a couple other businesses that I was doing marketing for. So at one point, yeah, I did have multiple things I was doing. So that is a little bit about me
Wow.
that probably a lot of people
I
don't know.
mean, it's pretty incredible um, to pull off a new company and to make it that big of a success. That's no easy task, and there's a reason whiskey. I wanted her on the marketing side for Chris Vond. That's why. I mean, there's more than that. Like she was already. I mean, that was a big start. Like I knew she was successful and already could kill it. We had one conversation about like how we should approach something that Chris is working on in the background, and it was so like blind. Like my brain was just like it blew up because of like all these like just really good gems of information. She was just like in this and this and this and this. I didn't stop typing the whole time she was talking. And I was like, you know what? Like, we just need you on our team. So how do we get that done? Because like, I'm not going to do it as well as you will do it. Um, but uh, I was pulling up a question here. Um, we don't have to go into like prior to NFT space and why you got involved into that. We can if you want to, but I am interested. You've talked about it a little bit in the past. Like how you and I remember even you getting me into a community that wasn't even the Misfits at one point. And then I quickly got out of that community. I was like, no thanks. Um,
Well, that's
but
not good.
I just wasn't interested in it. I won't say what it is because that's rude.
That's fair. Yeah, we won't.
But what attracted you to the NFT space? Like, I knew about you prior to NFTs. I
Yeah.
knew you existed. I listened to you talk, all that. But like, I don't think you knew who I was, which is fine. Um, I wasn't going up and talking in spaces either. But what brought you to NFTs? Like, what? How did you make that leap? I think a
Um,
lot. By the way, I think a lot of people can make the leap to cryptocurrency.
yeah.
I think it's the less of a leap than it is for NFTs. So to be fair, that's one of the reasons I'm interested.
Yeah. Um, yeah, nothing attracted me to the NFT space. I was completely confused as to why people were spending this much money on NFTs. Like you said, a majority of people know me from the Safe Moon community. That's where I spent all my time hosting spaces all the time. That's what I did. And so the idea of moving over into the NFT space just didn't interest me at all. Um, I've already talked about how I found the Misfits, but I remember I think the thing that like really caught my eye um, was there was an Izzy that was shared in a Misfit space once, and I think she had like a VR on. Um, she had like a VR headset, and she was adorable. I hadn't seen anything like that, and I I said it. I was never into anime, so the premise behind the Misfits wasn't anything that really interests me. But man, that Izzy was just so damn good. But I started listening into the Misfit Spaces, and I just started becoming like amused with Alex. Um, it's funny to interview people that are in the Misfits or that know him because it's like he's part of what like pulls you in a little bit, you know. Once you get past the excessive talking and you realize that's just who he is. He doesn't really shut up. Um, but then I started forming these relationships with people. Once I started interacting more with the community, like your OG ones, like Chris and Anik and King and Kanoa and Maori, like those were some of the ones that I started to get closer to back in like January, February of last year. Um, and then I just started putting in more effort, I think, into the community and just started getting attached to it.
Yeah. So yes, you started getting attached to the community a lot. I mean, I think we all did. Um, but how has that? I mean, it's obviously evolved. I remember there was this moment where there was an interesting concept that we were kind of toying with in the community, and it was early on in me and you getting to know each other as friends, and it was a big moment for me because it really defined who you are. Um, and I won't go into the specifics of it, but you made a decision on how to engage with what we were discussing based on how to best support Tom and Alex in their project. And you really move forward in that intent with that intention and clarity as a community member. And that's a long way away from someone investing into like something like SafeMoon, which is this massive cryptocurrency that has over 1 million holders, to buying into an NFT project and choosing to say how can I best support what they're doing because I believe in them so much. Um, that's a very different person. You know what I'm saying? It's a very different commitment level at a community basis. And so I'm just wondering, how has things evolved? How would you put that experience? Like, how would you put that like transition and that like evolution for yourself, if that makes sense?
Like how I got from no interest into NFTs to being like all in.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
And given that how intensely all in that means, because we know people that are all in, but
right.
they don't care enough about a project to like go that hard as without a role, without any community manager stuff, without any of that, just as
Right.
a holder that believes.
Um, yeah, you know, I think there was a part of me that found something that I hadn't had. It was new and it was you're forming all these relationships and that meant something, but then the more time you spend with everybody, the more attached you get, the more connected you get. Um, but also there was a time where um, I think getting from where I was to where I am now, honestly, it was I got to know Tom a lot more. The man probably has enough dirt on me to bury me. It's those people that you interact with frequently. Um, but he would talk about like all the stuff he had going on, like all the stuff he had on his plate, everything that he was working on, and I think there was just that desire to help. Um, when you, I don't know, I guess when you hear somebody that's got so much going on, you just have that need. At least I did to kind of help out, and so um, I didn't really know how to help, but I just started doing like all this research for discords and activities and things that like would keep the community engaged because I had no experience with it whatsoever. And so I would take it to him thinking maybe it would help. Um, and then one morning I just got a text that was basically asking me to join him and Alex, and I think that's something that obviously pushed me more in the committed area. You're smiling, and I don't understand why you're smiling.
Just a fond memory. It is a fond memory.
um,
Like I remember that moment, and I've never become so excited to support an NFT project prior to that moment. I love the Misfits. Like I've talked about that before, but and Dragon shaking his head yes too. Just for the record, like that was the
Hmm.
moment that I knew the Misfits would make it, and it was it's a fond memory for me. I mean, what did I like the moment you told me that happened? I said, "Listen, I'm all in, and I'm here to help you in any way I can."
yeah.
Because it's a
So
fond memory, so I'm smiling because it's fond.
so your support and your coming to me to like help me is exactly what I tried to do with Tom, and that's what put me in this position was seeing that person that you wanted to support and be behind and back and help out. And so that led me to I mean, holy shit, I had no clue what came with it. Like, oh my god, all the stuff that comes with it that you don't think of and you don't see. Um, I struggled for months to get my bearings. Like, it was not easy. There's like this weight that you feel when you're doing it, like trying to keep everyone together and trying to keep everyone happy. And it's not something that you think about when you say yes. And at that time, I still was doing marketing and running my company. So at that time, I did have multiple things that I was trying to help and manage. But then once they brought me on, I quit the marketing jobs And then I took a step back from my company because I knew that the team I had built could run it. I could, keep an eye on it from a distance. I didn't have to like baby it. But I think there was a lot of I mean, you guys know, and I've said it. Were plenty of weeks and months that I struggled with wondering if I'm, fit for this, and if this is going to be something that I can handle, and like, just I lost sleep and wanted to quit multiple times. It was draining. And it's not because of the hard work. It's just something that I hadn't experienced before. So it was just trying to struggle with how to get to that right spot, I guess. But I eventually had some conversations with like Alex and Tom and just went through how I was feeling, that I kept expressing like trying to push through these days and as best I could, but I just wasn't sure if I was a good fit. And I knew that based on their response, if based on how they responded to my feelings, if this was going to be a good fit for me, if I was with the right guys, if this was something that like, how they're going to handle me saying, holy shit, I need some help here and I don't know what I'm doing all the time and this is how I feel. So 7 months in, and honestly, when you hear him say things like, we've got you and you're with us through and through, I think that's when I knew that like this was home base. They make me feel grounded. I trust them. I absolutely love those two. That's a long journey to get to this spot, but if I would have never joined those misfit spaces or never gave the opportunity to try, and engage with the community, there's like so many little things that you do that you don't realize that eventually they add up and you make life-changing decisions.
Okay, awesome. I don't know how you do it because I know for sure I wouldn't make it this far with all the crazies out there.
Yeah, it's yeah, they're there for sure.
Next question. What do you think makes a great date?
These the bot questions?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I guess I can answer that. I'm that weirdo that wants to go to a brewery or axe throwing or like take me somewhere fun. Dinner and a movie is just so cliche and stupid. Like a good date, that's perfect. Do something more like that. That's simple, right?
Great answer.
This fireball's making me hot.
You have any, or should we go in the community questions?
Got some more. I don't know. I think, but you did make a good point, Dragon. Like I don't know how she has managed her own well-being so well to even kind of weather some of the storms of the crazies. That's one of the most. I think I've said this before on the podcast, but like one of the things that has inspired me the most from her is just how well she has taken the days in stride, taken a minute, processed it, and said, I'm coming at it and I'm going all in. And like the way she bounces back from a hard day is like incredible. And that's a whole other thing. But I am kind of interested. We talk a lot about how lucky three of us are. Like, I don't know how we got this dynamic. I don't know how we lucked into having all three of us together the way that we managed to do it. But like, I am interested to know what your first impression of me was, and also the first impression of Dragon. Like, and I have a follow up for that as well. But
so Neil said it, but he was there during like you were there during my early days of doing this, and there were days when like, oh my god, it was like when the energy drink shit happened and Let's Fud Whiskey and just like, oh my gosh, it was so much stuff at once that like most people didn't know about and I didn't talk about because it's not important, but those were hard days. And I think seeing how much support that you gave was like, support's something that's so underrated. I think people just take for granted. And you can talk to your blue in the face. I mean, I do. When it comes to support, communication, consistency, That's huge. And I know like my business background is like that too, but I'm like that personally too when it comes to relationships and stuff. Like there has to be that consistency. And that's something like with Neil, he was there. He was consistent. He showed up day one and had my back. And then once we moved to Discord, it was like that's when I started to get to really know Dragon. And Dragon's just, I mean, we've already had his hot seat, so people already like have experienced what he's like. But Dragon's just one you can count on to genuinely make you laugh all day long over the dumbest stuff. Like it's not even significant half the time. It's just like such dumb stuff. But honestly, when you're going through like really hard days, to have the combination of like support and laughter, because laughter is the key. I mean, for me, if you can make me laugh, you're golden. And Dragon just, he just has that, I don't know what it is. I guess a gift to just like make people laugh. Um, but there's just some people that I think say that they're there for you. They say that they support you. Um, but it's different when people actually show it. And words are great. That's great. But when the action is put forth, that's what shows me where we stand. So,
Yeah,
what?
Dragon was a big part of the reason why I came to Discord, realizing
Yeah.
it's actually helpful in supporting you. And I mentioned that in his hot seat, I think. Um, but Dragon's also, so maybe people don't necessarily know this. Dragon's the kind of guy that'll burn somebody's house down if they mess with one of his friends. Like
Yes,
he
he
might he
is.
Oh
might
yeah.
not be the most vocal in his support,
Mhm.
but like don't cross Dragon. Don't
Yeah.
cross one of his friends. Bad idea.
Yeah.
No, I
And
believe in, that saying, eye for an eye. I believe it, eye for two eyes. You take out one eye, I'm taking out two eyes.
yeah, Dragon's not one you cross. And I think that's like when I was talking about the people I keep close. I think over time I've learned the ones that really do have your back when it comes to like the tough times.
Yeah.
Um and honestly, I think I honestly feel like I've lucked out with the teams that I'm on and the guys that I work for and work with. Like working with you guys is just like hanging out with my best friends every day. It's easy and it's fun and we get along, and there's never any like weird or drama or anything. I mean, cuz immediately I'd be like, okay, this is not a good fit if there's drama all the time. But then, same with Alex and Tom. It's easy. Those two, like, they crack me up. It's fun to work with them. They the conversations that I've had with them of them supporting me and having my back, that's just something I have to have. That's something I need. Even Chris. I mean, Chris has given me so many pep talks, and it's almost like the verbal slapping you need to keep going. It's like, just own your shit and do it.
He
So
can be kind of brutally honest sometimes, but in a way that makes you feel good
Yeah,
about it.
yeah,
he's
and
hurt my
his
feelings.
my conversations with him is like, because I would go to him and be like, "This is the way I'm feeling. Is that fair? Is that valid? Am I out of line here? Like, I want to know. Like, tell me if you don't think what I'm doing or what I'm saying is right or fair, then I'll adjust. I just want that feedback and to know, like, you know, am I on the right path here?" And I think with Chris, he just is so. Chris has always been so sweet but he's also everything he says. And I think from a founder standpoint, to be able to talk to him and kind of get his feedback on certain things has been huge for me too. Um, because it also helps me with understanding a lot of certain like thoughts in my head on my position with Alex and Tom. So Chris has really helped me too to kind of see what maybe their mindset would be on certain things, or like I don't know. It just every relationship I have with the people that I work with is proven to be like valuable and something that's helped me to show up every day. Cuz this space, like my god, it can drown you. It can absolutely just drown you.
Yes.
And if you don't have the right people, I don't know how I'd keep showing up every day.
I mean, I'm almost 3 months in to being with Chris.
Mhm.
2 months actually, 2 months. And today I was like, "Am I really the best fit?" he's getting the attention now. There's better people around. Like it's a weight that you it is a weight.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, you listed off the best people around in my opinion, and I am interested on your take though. And it's not something I think you've gone into enough detail on. So it went from my phone call to talking to Dragon to doing this whole thing with this podcast. But did you envision when I was supporting you, when you're getting No Dragon in Discord, that we would be here today? Like, did that even cross your mind? And how wild did you really think I was for bringing that up?
Um, I always thought it would be cool to do a podcast before I even knew any of you guys. I thought it would be cool to do a podcast. However, it's not something I really gave a second thought to or had a plan in mind. I when Neil brought it up, I was like, why in the hell would we do this? And who in their right mind would want to listen to me talk this long every single week about the most random shit? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. So no, I had no thought in my mind about having doing a podcast with you two. But when Neil explained his thought process with it, like what he could see happening with it, it's true that there is this I think we sit in so many spaces or have sat in so many spaces where people try to be informative and they try to tell you things and they try to, give you encouragement or I don't know, like instructions or dangers, don't do, like that's all you hear. Everywhere you go, that's what you hear. And I think the idea of just friends sitting around and talking about the most random stuff, like I think it was Benji that said that he loves our podcast because it's conversations that lead to nowhere. And I absolutely died because I'm like, yeah, that's true. And that's why I love it because it's not something you have to like plan out or think about. It's different. It's literally just us talking about the most random stuff. And it's worked. I mean, somebody's listening. I mean, some people are listening. I'm not sure who, but we do get some people that do listen and like it. So I'm
But to
glad
be
Neil
fair,
had that
like
idea.
it's like it really is indicative of the NFT space, at least in my mind, the good NFT space. There is other areas that we don't really go into, but I don't think those areas are interesting. And I think as normal people, I say that cheeky, come into
Are
the
we
space.
normal?
I think I look at others in the space, and I do think we are normal.
That's fair.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, we could be a lot worse.
yeah, and but I think as normal everyday people come in to engage with NFTs
Hmm.
and understand them, I think this is what it looks like to be in a community, and this was what it looks like to play around and to try to catch trends and buy a butt picture that rugs and you know what I mean. Like, um,
Yeah.
I
I'll never
I
live that down, but that's okay.
I mean I have like 10 in my wallet that are like that. Um, and so my point is like
Yeah.
I think this is a representative, but like I'm just we're putting you on the spot. So I was like, I genuinely want to know if she ever thought we would do something together, and if so, what was her initial impression of my idea? And I know you agreed to it, but man, it's good to know that you thought it was wild and not we and why would we do that? Because it's helpful.
Um, no, I think once I started thinking about it, I got excited about it because there is this dynamic here between the three of us that we all bring something different. Our personalities kind of feed off each other, and that's something that you hear in feedback a lot of times from people that listen all the time is the chemistry between the three of us. Um, I love that all three of us can throw out sarcasm and um like insults like nobody's business and nobody gets offended. That to me is like perfect friendships right there. So, yeah, I mean at first I was a little bit like, "Oh my god, he's out of his mind." But then once we threw Dragon in the mix, I was like, "Oh hell yeah, this is going to be
It's a
fun."
hit.
Yeah, you guys are
Yeah.
crazy.
I love that Dragon was like, they're drunk. And we're like, yeah, we may have been drinking at the time. But it works. It worked. That's why I said last week, I think, like, I feel bad for anybody who genuinely doesn't like us because we're literally everywhere now. I mean, we're in, how many servers are we in all together that we go through? And like, you can't avoid us now. So I mildly feel bad for that. Like, if you hate whiskey, you're in trouble because I'm everywhere.
Um, I don't have any more.
Well, let's move into the community questions then.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick one of those?
Yeah, I have one that I want to
Oh.
hear the answer, and it's from Tina.
From Tina?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So she says, Whiskey, if you were sinking and had to take one of your co-hosts down with you, who would you take?
If I was sinking and had to take one of my co-hosts down with me,
Yeah.
that question confuses me because my thought process is if I'm sinking, why would I drag someone down with me?
You have to,
But
just so
that's
you won't die alone.
but that's not how I operate. I don't know how to answer that. That's
Who's
such a
gonna
weird
die,
question.
Whiskey? Who's gonna die? Who's
That's
dying
so
with-
weird. I would take little peanut corn with me.
No, that's not the question.
It says co-host, and he's here with us every week and records, so I feel like that's fair. I can't answer that question. I don't operate that way. I genuinely, if I'm drowning, I don't pull somebody down with me. I don't know.
Boo.
I'm sorry. I'll take the booze.
Boo.
Okay, what if? How about I'll change it? Like we're hanging off a cliff, and you gotta cut the rope to to save yourself.
This
I don't know. Never mind. Never mind.
These survival questions are just so odd.
Who's underneath you?
Oh, that's not worded properly either. There has to be some other questions here that we can move on to.
Sure. Which is better, Raven or Dex?
Oh,
That's
Maori.
the heat.
Yeah,
that's the
that's a mean
heat.
question. I think that's a really mean question.
That's good though. You got to answer it.
Yeah, I know. That one's hard, and I know that that's been coming ever since Raven came out. Dex is my dude. I freaking love that fiery little shit. He just is the greatest. But now there's like this part of me that's in Raven. There's like certain layers that I relate to with her, and my thought process with her and how she would work into the story. Like, I didn't tell Alex that stuff until he shared the sneak peek with me of her first like reveal, and he started talking about like what his ideas were with her, and they were spot on with what I had thought. And I think that to me gets me more excited and makes me like her all the more because I know some of what is coming with her. So I guess to answer it, I would have to say that I do like Raven.
Whiskey's full on villain.
I know Chris is gonna hear that and be like, "What the fuck?" That's just not okay.
Full on villain. Whiskey's gone all in.
All right, next question. If your future self, 10 years from now, traveled back in time to visit you now, what would be the one thing you'd love to hear?
Um, I'd love to hear that it was all worth it. Super simple.
Love it.
I sure hope so.
Is that a tennis ball on the questions?
Yeah.
Is that
Oh,
from
you
I
want
copied
that?
and pasted off of Twitter. Well, let me ask this one. And this isn't really a question, but I do think I wanted to bring it up because of how it illustrates like some of the points I made about whiskey. And that's the Crypto Bros put this. But first of all, they wanted to know if it hurt when she fell from heaven, which they're just the sweetest
Oh my god.
guys ever. But they just said they don't even have questions because of how transparent you are. And they
Aw.
already know that all the answers to the questions that they would have, and that's one of the big reasons that they love you. And I just, just to call them out, like, but also to illustrate the point of the kind of impact whiskey has made. There are so many people in this, the misfits in particular, in that community that would not be in that community if it wasn't because of how great you are, whiskey. And that's why I started this segment off the way I did. Like, it's not me just putting you on a pedestal. Like, like even asking questions, like you get this sweet like feedback from people that you really have made an impact on, and have brought into our little corner of the DeFi world, and they didn't even have questions because they already know the answers they need to know, and I just think that was so
Sweet.
awesome. Yeah.
I guess it's a good thing that you guys have seen me and know my personal information because I could be a massive catfish. Be really good at
I can
Yeah,
confirm that
because
she is a real person.
it. Yeah.
what? Oh, I just came up with this question.
Oh God.
What meme best describes you, like fits you?
What
I think I
meme?
know yeah, I think I know the answer.
I don't
I know
know.
it.
A meme
There's
or
a
a
couple.
GIF?
Yeah, meme or a GIF. Yeah, GIF. I mean GIF.
Um. Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, if you're talking about GIFs, there's one that I share a lot because you guys get super rowdy, and it's the one where the chick's like in the chair and she points her finger and says "behave,"
Yeah,
and I feel like that sums up my life now. Like how I went from marketing and owning a company to trying to corral a bunch of grown ass men all the time. Like how did I get here?
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes are made. Oh my god. Yeah, so that one, and then I think there's another one of like a chick walking away from like a burning house. It says burn it all down.
yeah.
That's probably my mood every once in a while because you're just like, you know what? You don't deserve me. I do not need this shit today. So those are like the two I think that probably best represent me. I like
Love
Neil's
it.
little like
Also,
head
that little
thing.
girl that's looking away from the fire, that's also you.
Yes. Trying not to look guilty, but has that like devious little look on her face.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
she's definitely done some things in her
Yeah.
life.
Well, and
And
like
that's
I think
fine.
Um,
So,
was it Alex that said something about like he could see me as Wednesday because like I definitely
mm-hmm.
have that like I will burn you to the ground or I don't remember what he said, but yeah,
I will ruin you forever.
I will
Mm-hmm.
jack the
Like
hell yeah.
Wednesday and the roommate to put together.
Kind of, yeah.
I'm like who? I'm
The
like
Kind of
roommate,
like,
the
Wednesday and
roommate.
and her roommate, you're like both of them combined.
Yeah,
oh,
you're like both of them.
so
Yeah.
bipolar. That's great.
No. Oh my gosh. So, what when you get a second puppy, what breed will it be and what will you call it?
Oh no. Um yeah, Dragon's puppies
Not my puppy.
stuff
I
like
knew
his
it.
puppy does not help me with not wanting another one. Um I've considered
I
getting
like
another
that the
one.
question was when.
Yeah, not if.
No,
Um
when.
I have thought about getting another one. If I did, it would probably be another golden retriever. I just think they're the greatest dogs. I have thought about a name. I would love to name him Nash. But I honestly like I want to start traveling more. I used to travel all the time and I miss that, so it's just not an ideal time to get a puppy.
Where have you traveled?
Um I travel a lot in the States. I'm really not one that goes outside the States, so that's really not anything exciting, but I loved traveling all the time. And I would do it all the time, but I just when COVID hit, it just sucked ass and I'll miss being out there and like getting to travel more.
So, what breed and what will you name it? I think was the question. I'm being an ass.
Didn't I just answer this though?
But you didn't. You said you want to travel. We asked what the breed would be and
No,
what we
I
would
did.
name
I
it.
said I would definitely get a golden retriever. I would get another golden retriever, and I have
And
thought about
name
a
it
name.
Nash.
I love the name Nash. Nash. I don't know why, but I just that's what I would do. But
Why
it's not really
isn't
really
that?
something.
Why does that make me think of Walker Texas Ranger? Was that his name, Nash?
Um, I don't know. I've never watched that, but it was short for Nashville, not
Stop it.
some. Okay.
You have seen Walker Texas Ranger before.
No.
Get out of here.
Well, let's add that to the list of disappointments, right?
Oh my gosh.
One big disappointment.
Can you so one outside of the NFT space, I've been watching a documentary because of something I saw on Twitter. Can you talk about the fact that you were like searching for this lady in like
The
Can you
Murdaugh
go?
thing?
Yes, because I'm
Yeah.
fascinated.
Yeah. So that's probably one of the things that you read off of Vico's tweets was the Murdaugh thing. Yeah. Um, so I used to live in South Carolina. Actually was the Low Country. Um, and I think it was February of 2019, there was a boating accident that happened with a few teens in the area. And one of the girls was, her body wasn't recovered. There was a search crew that went on for, oh my God, I don't know how long.
Days.
7 days. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, and my parents lived right on the water, so we would be out there on their dock, and we would see these like search helicopters going over and like the boats and all this stuff. And we're like, man, what is going on? And then once we found out what it was like the whole town was just so rocked by it. There was stories about how the kids were drunk, they were driving the boat late at night, it was dark, and the river, like, the river, but it's different at dark. And then with the tide and the marsh, it's just a dangerous situation. So they made poor choices. And they, I started, I got taken into like the search crew part. So because they couldn't bring their boats close enough to the shore, they had us in kayaks going through the channels in the marsh to search for her body. And I had to, one of the days that I was looking, I had to turn around and come back because the tide was going out. And I didn't want to get stuck. So I came back and then it found out that if I would have kept going, I would have found her body. She was found not far from where I stopped.
So crazy.
So it was
Whoa.
crazy. But it was good that they found her body and stuff, and the family needed that closure. So there is that. But there's so much shady corruption that's gone on with the family, that the kid that was, it was his boat and stuff. And so yeah, that documentary came out on Netflix. I think it's called Murdaugh Murders or something. I think that's what it's called. Um
Do you
yeah, I
think it
watched.
accurately depicts the?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
It's not
Um
too overly dramatized, or it's pretty much
no.
the way it is.
Um in the Low Country, you are, everyone knows you. Um and that's, I another thing when I was talking to Vico about celebrities that I've met and celebrities I worked with, like everyone knows everyone, so it's kind of easy to get to know people there. And there is a fine line between cover-ups and what should happen. And so I watched the first 2 episodes of it, but it was kind of hard to watch because you kind of lived through parts of it, and you saw how it affected your town and the people that you knew. And but yeah, I haven't seen, I think there's 3 episodes, right? So yeah, I haven't seen the third. I stopped watching, but the first 2 definitely are, yeah, it's not extravagant.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And you met someone else. So going off of those Vico tweets that you have been found out, you met someone famous.
I yeah. I actually, do you guys remember the Extreme Home Makeovers that were on like Ty Pennington and Exhibit
Oh
and
yeah.
all those? Okay.
Oh, yes, yes.
So I showed up just to kind of like help out if they needed it, but I got pulled to do filming with them instead. So I got to like film with them several days and work with Ty Pennington and Exhibit, which their
Wow.
Exhibit is the sweetest. I absolutely loved working with them.
No
Um,
way.
so I did that, and then
Did you
Tom
move the
Berenger.
bus?
Di I was there
Is
when
it
they
not?
did it. Yeah, I was
Oh,
there when they did it, but I didn't really like, I stayed away from that because it gets crazy. Um, and then Tom Berenger is actually like a family friend. I don't know if a lot of people know who he is, but he's an actor. He's played in a lot of movies if you look him up. And then Joel Silvers is a movie producer. Um, I've been to his house. Like, there's just certain celebrities that, and fun fact, um, when I showed up at his house, I was with my uncle, whose name is Tom. He rings the bell to like for us to come in, and he just says it's Tom, and they're like, Tom Cruise, and I almost threw up in my mouth, like, oh my God, he's here. I like everyone knows I hate Tom Cruise, but he's like visited their house, and so luckily I missed him because I would have just oh my god, I can't. I don't know why I hate Tom Cruise so much. I can't take it.
Can we go back to
So
the
yeah,
fact that you said the guy that brought us Pimp My Ride is the sweetest?
he is.
That's just hard for me to like reconcile in my brain.
Okay,
Yeah.
to do filming with, he was very sweet. In his
That's
personal life, I'm sure there's some stuff there and it's very deep, but I honestly just did filming with him, so I feel like that's fair to say that
you're
he was
such a
sweet.
big deal.
Yeah,
Oh my god,
it's a big deal.
big deal.
Big dill? Why are we talking about dills? Like, how did we get here? What is happening?
Should we ask the
Whiskey. Yeah,
king
go ahead.
question?
What's the
Go
other
for it.
question?
Let it rip.
I kind of don't want to do it. You can do it, so she can.
If it's bad, we can skip it. I'm okay with that. I feel like I've said so much this episode.
Just the fact that you had to retire at such a young age from tennis from injury, not caused by playing the sport,
King,
but by
King.
fetching the tennis ball.
Son of a bitch. You know, King's so sweet because I was in Discord with him like 2 nights ago and he was going on, and he's like, I told Alex and Tom that bringing you in was the best move they ever made. And like, he was being so sweet. And then he puts this shit on here. So it just like completely backfires. Yeah. Alex likes this story too. I mean, just to
know.
make fun of it. Yeah. I did break my arm. I used to play tennis and I was practicing for a tournament. None of my breaks, sprains, anything have had exciting stories, and this one especially is not that exciting.
I think it's pretty exciting.
It's jacked up. So I was practicing for a tournament. The person I was playing hit the ball over the fence. I go to get the ball, and my foot gets caught on the fence. And I fell all the way down and like broke my arm. It was the worst thing, and I couldn't play
Wow.
tennis anymore because it's my right arm, and I'm right-handed,
The
and it
name,
just
number of the person that hit the ball over
it's
the.
so bad. Like,
There's
yeah,
there's a way to get in the tennis court that doesn't involve climbing a fence. Number one.
What
Number
kind
two.
of fence? Like how big? Like a big one or like the
we
four?
don't have to go there. Yeah, we don't.
And she
devolves
shattered her
that
arm
much.
so
She
dramatically
completely
she can't
shattered
even
it.
play tennis anymore.
I couldn't play tennis anymore. It was so bad. It still throbs when it rains. It's so
Oh.
dramatic. But
Between
then
me
after
falling
that,
down
I
and
was
you-
really good. I was really good at basketball after that, though. So it like took me into basketball, and I was really good at basketball.
I bet you punch people in their throat. That's what I picture when you're playing basketball. Just like punching
I
them in the
fouled
throat
a
and
lot.
keep dribbling.
Yeah, I fouled a lot, but I was the only one that could do threes, and so I was valued. And then I got into golf, and I freaking love golf.
That's
I
the
can't
one
wait for it
thing
to
I
get
would
warm.
love for you to take. If we ever do a real life meetup, I would love it if you guys took me golfing for my first time.
I want to
Done.
do mini golfing with you guys. I'll be
Mini golfing. That would
I've
just
done that
make me
before.
angry.
I wanna learn how to golf. I wanna be shown.
Okay.
I've never done it. I've never
It's dangerous, dude.
I've
It's
never
not
swung a
We
golf
dangerous.
club.
talked about this with Tom.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
You won't
Oh,
be
Tom
able to
can
walk
teach
the
you.
next day.
Tom can like embrace you from behind and like wrap his arms around you and help
teach you how
you
to
with
swing.
how to swing. Yeah, we'll get him on this. That's a
Oh my
genius
gosh.
idea.
Well, Whiskey, we're all your biggest fans. And I think
Yep.
a lot of
Thank
people
you.
listen that think the same.
Hopefully, no one listens to this episode.
Queen Misfit.
Queen Misfit. Put some respect on the name or get found out, because me and Dragon will both curb stomp you because we're
Curb
here to
stomp you.
F shit up. So
Mhm.
no, thanks for I loved having guests on, but I think we're trying to create is bigger than just guests. It's not diminishing them at all.
We're trying
We're-
to slowly
yeah.
burn ourselves to the ground.
Mhm. So, thanks for listening. This is episode 19, right? We finished
Yep.
19. And Whiskey send nudes.